Okay, let's still wait a second that we are sure we are visible and we are talking to somebody out there, not just to each other, which is also a pleasure. But let's still wait a second. I hope we are live now. I might ask people hopefully watching us if you can see and if you can hear us, if everything is fine, before we start a serious conversation. Please feel free to leave some comment or some sign of life that somebody out there is listening to us. I still don't see it. So would you please write something in the chat box, guys, out there? Okay, I see some thumbs up. That means we are live. Welcome. Welcome, everybody. Zahra, good morning to you. To myself, it would be good evening. Good afternoon to some of you. I hope those for whom it is night right now, I hope you're not watching us now. I hope you're sleeping. But this recording will be available online and you can watch it in any other moment too. Between me and you, there is now right now 8 hours difference. This is what internet makes possible, that we don't have to sit in one room to have a nice conversation. I would like to welcome everybody who joined and who is listening to us to today's Sofa Talk. This is a format that MRG started some time ago, a virtual sofa where two people can discuss. I always invite a guest. This guest is a woman with minority or indigenous background. And this guest is always a special guest. It's somebody who has something very interesting to share. And yes, this is who you are, Zahra. We had the pleasure to meet some months ago, and it was clear for me that I would love to sit on this virtual sofa with you. Zahra, welcome.
Thanks, Anna. It would have been nice to be in a real room, even with the 8 hours apart. And also saying I'm a special woman usually just feels like I'm making watercolors. And
you are making very special watercolors. Zahra is an artist, traditional artist, using watercolors and zinc. Very often in her art, we can see some very light, beautiful balloons or butterflies. But actually, Zahra is touching very serious, complicated, and not obvious at all topics. And I guess this is the beauty, and this is what brought us here together. The way you are able to transform not easy, not obvious topics, your own experiences into art. And I have in my room, I have printouts of some of your art. After our last meeting, I was very impressed, and I thought maybe I can show it to the public right now in maybe a bit old school way, but just that you get a feeling. What are we talking about? That's one of my favorites. Zahra, you were born in Kuwait. You are right now living in New Mexico in the south of US. And as a kid, you've seen your ID card, and your ID card said place of birth, Kuwait, nationality undefined. So you were not Kuwaiti, living in Kuwait, having both parents living in Kuwait. Your father was born in Kuwait, but was not Kuwaiti. So you were not Kuwaiti because your father was not Kuwaiti. Your father was not Kuwaiti because your grandfather was not Kuwaiti.
Yeah.
You see, this is so complicated, and this is something that is not very understandable for people who didn't experience statelessness, because this is what we are talking about. It's a taboo topic. It's the topic many people don't want to touch. It's a topic sometimes hidden somewhere behind curtains. I would like to ask you, what does it mean for you? And what does it mean that you were stateless, that your father was stateless, that your grandfather was stateless? Where did it come from?
What does it mean is something I wonder all the time too, even leaving Kuwait just the other day, or yeah, like flying and seeing a tiny city by the sea where my whole family lives, still, where some are Kuwaiti and some are disenfranchised Kuwaitis, I feel like they should be called instead. And wondering, like, how did this happen, or why is it like this? But what does it mean? I don't know. I feel like it was just a glitch in bureaucracy that was taken too seriously.
Could you explain a bit, how did it work in Kuwait? How people could become stateless?
Yeah, how could they become stateless? In my family's personal history, it was there when citizenship was introduced. It was a new concept. So people were already living there. They were working there. They were integrated socially, culturally. They had lives. So the idea of citizenship or needing to register in a place where you already, like, what's the point? I guess maybe was the idea then, or also, there was sweeping illiteracy among certain social classes. Education is
About
for.
which years are we talking?
Oh, now we're talking about. I'm talking about the 1930s, maybe 1930s, 1940s, when my grandparents were there. Um, yeah. So my mom's family registered, and my dad's family didn't register, even though they're from the same social, cultural milieu and the same neighborhood and the same historical background.
So we see that the consequence of that times is with all your family still until now. You self-identify yourself as the Ayam minority, minority with origin from Iran. Um, I can only guess that people listening to us have no idea what am I talking about. Who is Ayam minority?
Who are they? I guess there's a large migration of southwestern Iranians who went into the Arab Gulf the last 300 years to work as laborers and have been there for 300 years and have integrated socially and are a different ethnic group, but are essentially from the Gulf now or have been since then. Yeah, I mean, to even look at the map and think about where my great grandparents were actually born, it's like such a short distance and such a huge gap. I feel like.
And then borders and bureaucracy can make such a big difference. Um, how many people is in such a situation as your family in Kuwait?
Well, um, I guess when my parents were born in Kuwait in the late 40s, early 50s, only 100,000 people lived there at the time. Now there are 3 million people. Um, a million of them are citizens of people who are historically from Kuwait or the region, or like Bedouins or Arabs, or again, people ethnically Iranian. And 100,000, I think, is estimated to be stateless. And then 2 million are migrant workers,
And they are called biduns, right? This is
which is
this
the
is
literal translation meaning without.
from Arabic.
Yeah, the Arabic way, yeah. So you're just identified as being without any identity.
And what does it mean in practice, in everyday life, when it comes to schooling, working, health system?
Right. Um, I guess my most recent example of a family member who's suffering a certain thing is a lot of stateless people, if they have a Kuwaiti mom like me. So this is my cousin's son who's 29 and has a Kuwaiti mom, and he works in the army and would like to get married. but it stipulates that he can only marry a Kuwaiti woman. And socially, people wouldn't allow this because then her children will become stateless because the father is stateless. So it's like a suffocating trap of trying to build a life, but being like socially unable to in many ways. But in regards to healthcare, you're limited. In regards to public schools, it's always a question. A lot of people have to go to private schools. And then if the father is stateless and unable to find a good job, how can they afford to send your stateless children to private schools?
So there is no access for them to public schools.
Um, I think it's always whether you have a Kuwaiti mother or not is also a question. And then, yeah, it's like, yeah, Kuwaiti school, public schools are not for non-Kuwaitis.
Um,
Yeah, it's a weird thing to say, right?
no, it's just you know mm, when I was reading different documents to get ready for this talk with you, I was just getting constantly angry about every next step and about every research and about every side of life of without citizenship in Kuwait. Um, but let's still talk about something maybe nice. When you think about your childhood in Kuwait, how was it? On your paintings, I see the flying flamingos that are migrating to Kuwait. There is your grandma's house. How was it?
Yeah, I mean, so this is the thing. It's like I actually am Kuwaiti. Like there's an argument of like there people are Iraqi and hiding their documents, or they're Syrian, or they're Palestinians, or they're foreign and lying about their identity. But again, it's like I actually was from this place where my whole family is, where I have cultural ties. So I grew up just with a normal sense of being Kuwaiti, the way anyone who's anywhere has a sense of like family and home and the beauty of the particularities of culture that you get to live. And what was it like? Beautiful. I have like a million cousins, I feel like. So there's always a lot of people around, and people stay up late, and there someone accidentally takes a nap, or it's like just a lot is happening even though nothing is happening all at the same time. So, and I feel like even every trip back, even though I'm becoming exceedingly more foreign, like my Kuwaiti's broken, it's like no one makes me feel like as if I I'm changing or I don't belong. It's just it keeps happening. I guess these things, the beautiful things of being with a lot of people.
And eating watermelons.
Yeah.
I
Or
can completely imagine all of it thanks to your paintings.
yeah, yeah. Or even asking my aunt like for a particular drink, instead of making one glass, she'll make like a whole like and just keep serving the same thing again and again. Yeah, it's really lovely.
Do you remember a moment when you understood that Biduns are treated differently and that you are one of them?
It took a long time. I feel like even by the time I was 17, I wasn't really exactly sure what we were doing or why we keep going back and forth, and why family members say things like, "Oh, you should really marry a Kuwaiti so you could come back." And even now that I'm in my mid 30s, I keep thinking like, why does that have to be the only way for me to be able to live in my home? Like to marry a man and suddenly become Kuwaiti? I don't know. Yeah, so I guess slowly it took me time to understand what the real implications are, and how lucky I guess I am that my parents decided to leave, even though they should have never had to have left.
What were the steps to leave? I know that your father applied for relocation to the States, but what is the process? How can it be possible?
He once wrote me like a short little paragraph or something about how he felt the days like passing through his fingers, like holding a bunch of sand, like just losing so much time trying to make something happen that probably he shouldn't have spent so much time of his life doing so. But what were the steps? He applied for green cards 14 years before I was born. We were able to leave when I was 7, and I became a citizen when I was 15. So not very good at math, but that does sound like a lot of years to have to prove that I belong somewhere.
So from the moment when he applied until the moment you moved to the States, it's 21 years, yes? Am I counting right?
14 plus 7, 21. And then I became a citizen when I was 15, so that's 8 more years, almost 30 years.
30
Yeah, so
years.
also when people talk about like immigration, it's like it doesn't happen in a day. I guess you can't just be like, hey, I think I want to leave my country, and they're like, all right, yeah, go ahead.
No, it's a shocking number to hear that you have to wait 30 years for any kind of feeling of safety in another place. But this is something completely unimaginable for people who never experienced it. I'm mentioning it because probably we might be listened by people who never had this experience and hopefully will not have this experience because it's nothing anybody would like to go through.
Right. Yeah, and Kuwait issued us temporary passports to leave once we had the right to go somewhere. Because as a stateless person, you're also limited on travel. Um, when my oldest brother was accepted to a university here, he even had to apply for permission to like land in connecting airports. So he was refused a connecting flight in London. So it's just to catch a connecting flight, not even to like enter a country, but just to land and get another flight and leave. It's like you're so limited in what you're able to do, not just socially, but so strange. Like stateless people can't even travel to the Emirates, which is like an hour flight away.
Did I understand you well that once you get permission to fly to the US, you received from Kuwait a temporary passport to be able to leave?
Yeah,
But that
yeah.
meant you cannot go back on the same passport.
So we were using this passport to go back and visit family all the time, and it looks like a Kuwaiti passport, which is blue, except it's gray. And I know there are activists now in Kuwait. It's a small group run by 3 women, and they're called the Gray Zone, about people who have like Kuwaiti moms and stateless dads or foreign dads. Yep. But yeah, a gray passport that we kept using to return to Kuwait, which was retracted when I was in middle school. So we ended up staying for a year until we were reapproved to leave.
On one of the pages of your book, you write, I say my goodbyes without knowing why. This was a sentence that stayed with me very strongly while working on the topic of migration and relocation and people moving around. We don't think so much about kids and their understanding of the situation. Your parents knew what they are doing. Yes, it was conscious decision. Of course, it was probably a very difficult decision and very difficult step, but they knew why they are saying goodbye. You didn't.
Right. Right. It's like if you see your whole family's in a place and like linguistically they all speak the same and they all look the same as everybody around them. I don't know, you don't know why you're leaving, or it doesn't make sense why, or even to be so far, even when you land in a new place, you don't even understand it's far or different, or why no one suddenly speaks the same as you or looks different.
Do you remember these first weeks and months in the States?
Yes, I even remember saying goodbye at the airport, or like everyone feeling so sad. I don't remember the first few days. I remember my brother trying to explain to me we were going to a place that Bugs Bunny went to because there was a cartoon where he was like lost in Albuquerque. So that made it feel like, oh, okay, so it's a place where things I like are. Um, and I remember waiting outside where like our house, because I wanted to go back to my grandpa's house for the Wednesday family visit. So that, thinking back now, that must have been really painful for my parents to see like their kid waiting outside for a bus or an airplane to take them back to their grandpa's house. Yeah.
And how were you welcomed?
How was I welcomed? I was looking at old photographs, and a few months in, I remember my class, my teacher had me write everybody's names in Arabic on the board, and there's like a group of all of us as 7-year-olds all standing together, happy for some reason. And there was a Kuwaiti who wrote like, "Wow, this all seems so wholesome," and it made me like. There's always reminders that like, yeah, I'm really lucky we came to a place where people treated me that like since I speak a second language or I have another culture, that it's something to be proud of or that
Mhm.
it's special or it's unique. And
No, for sure, it's your parents and the teachers and people around who can create this feeling. It can be also opposite, yes, people might
right.
feel completely different. But I was trying to imagine, yes, you as a little girl, somewhere between being Arab, Iranian, American, New Mexican, having all this roller coaster in your head. Um, when did you start painting?
Hmm. Our my older brother was inspired by one of our uncles who used to make oil paintings, so he always encouraged me to make art. And then I kept doing it in high school, and then kept keeping like journals and sketchbooks as I was getting older. And then tried an art school for a while, which was really strict and really hard, and the kind that makes you not want to tell anyone you know how to draw. They're like, yeah, I obviously don't know how. And then started taking it more seriously in maybe 2016, 2017.
And I'm not an artist. I have no idea how to paint or draw. Um, what do you paint or what do you draw when you have a free moment? Is it your way of um, digesting what is happening around you, or you have some particular topic in mind? I know your paintings on a very particular topic, but
Um,
I'm guessing not all of them are like this.
yeah. Um, I went to like a desert camp for fun to go experience like something way out of the city just a few days ago in Kuwait, and flying back, I realized I didn't clean my shoes properly, and there was like some sand from the desert still on my feet while I was coming back, and it made me feel like, oh, there's a little bit of home on me still. So those ideas are things that I kind of like extract and try to build watercolors or compositions about. Like, yeah, I spend time writing to myself a lot on what's happening or how I feel about it, and in a way, which I mean, I generally feel like a very happy person. I really love life in the way it is. So try to make light of it. Yeah, I gave a talk also a few weeks ago in Kuwait, and there was someone, oddly, a woman from New Mexico who's teaching there, and she was like, "You make Kuwait and Albuquerque seem so dreamy, and they're not as nice as they really are. They're like neither of them are as beautiful as you make them seem in your drawings." So that was really sweet to hear. I guess just hoping, or maybe wishing. I guess maybe they're kind of little wishes that things were better.
Plus your memory as a child, right? Then you see those little things. But I think it's an incredible skill to be able to paint all those things, but also to notice the sand on your shoes and be able to transform it into a little metaphor. Mm, how come you ended up working on a children's book?
I the last few years have thought before even creating this book that the format is really poetic. How you can balance like the visuals with writing, and it can be very simple and bound and very accessible. And on another hand, I kept thinking like people have asked like why would I wouldn't write a novel or a graphic novel or things for adults, but I mean, I guess I lived this experience as a child
Mhm.
and remember how it felt as a child. Yeah.
I already gave as a gift your book to few little Zahras out there. And I think it's a very powerful tool for the kids experiencing the same what you did. To read a book like this with parents, I think it's also a very powerful tool for others to read it and to try to imagine, because it's impossible to really know what it means. After our discussion, I will post links on the chat under the video to the book we are talking about. You all should see it, and you all should order it. Your book became the best illustrated children book of 2022 of New York Times.
I know, it's hard to believe, right? I feel like I'm lying to myself when I say these things.
It's true. It's out there. And we are all very happy about it. Why you think you're lying to yourself while thinking about it?
I don't know, because I guess I feel like I'm only living the sand on my shoes and making watercolors. So it's really beautiful to feel like, oh, other people are connecting with how I feel. Yeah.
They are connecting, and it's easier for them to connect with those emotions for them thanks to your work. And actually, thanks to this book and thanks to this painting, we met. Last year, Minority Rights Group, together with the UN Human Rights Office and UNHCR and Free Muse, organized an international art contest for minority artists on the topic of statelessness. And you, together with two more people, became the winners of this competition. We had a lot of amazing applications of minority artists. One of the jury members, UN Special Reporter Alexandra Xantaki, said, "It is not often that one finds a book on statelessness and migration that is so artistic. It has really moved me." When we met in Geneva on the ceremony of receiving the prize, you said, "I'm so happy about this award. I will be even happier when my family receives basic human rights within their lifetime." How is the situation of your family right now?
So again, receiving this award, it felt like I felt very proud to be recognized by like an institution like the United Nations, and to bring visibility, or to even think I'm trying to bring visibility, I suppose. I don't know. But a week before traveling to Geneva, my mom was telling me my 38-year-old cousin started crying over his lunch, wishing that things could be easier. And at the same time, to balance like a pride of receiving recognition for your art that brings visibility to statelessness, and seeing that a cousin who's only a few years older than you is still suffering and crying, it feels like, am I really doing anything? And why can't our lives be easier is always the question. Like, why does it have to be this way? I don't know. But
You
what
are
about
doing exactly this. You are
asking why?
you are doing exactly this because thanks to competitions and awards like this, you are bringing light to the topic. And it's not easy to open up in front of a worldwide public and share those kind of stories. You are doing exactly this. I'm very sure about it.
Thanks. Yes, there was a Kuwaiti woman during the talk I gave who said, "How did you learn to become vulnerable since our culture is so private and conservative?" And I was like, I don't know, maybe you have to live 8,000 miles away from your family. I don't know, to be able to bring up these topics, because, yeah, there's always like the hit and miss of, is this okay to talk about, even with within the family? Like, this is something you just keep quiet and you figure out how to navigate. So there is a lot of shame around it.
And one has to be also very courageous to be able to be vulnerable. So. I know that your papa passed away, um, but I know that the struggles for the family didn't finish.
Mhm.
Um, what does it mean uh, if statelessness person or person that documents in the country are in some questionable form uh, pass away and family would like to bury him?
Oh yeah. So this was very hard. When my father passed away and we were at the hospital to see his body before being taken to the graveyard, um, they first, since my dad had become American and was living as a foreigner in Kuwait with my mom on a visa as her husband, first they were telling us like you need permission from the American embassy to bury him, which I might be normal international standards. I don't know. But in our case, it's like he is Kuwaiti. But I mean, when the administrator saw my mom and how she was, and quickly, I mean, there's always this understanding that something is strange, you know? I mean, even when I go back to Kuwait and like they're confused about why I'm in the foreign line, you know? So it's like even people who are running the system don't understand. So yeah, he was buried. Look, I mean, they moved things a little faster, understanding that like maybe he should have been, you know, a Kuwaiti living as a foreigner, and and then 2 years after his burial, there was a warrant for his arrest since he didn't renew his visa from the grave. So it's like from birth to death, you never get to experience peace. I don't know.
And what you also wrote to me that you are entering Kuwait to visit your own mom, your own country as a tourist. This is
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And it's really painful to always think about that. I mean, every trip back, I feel like it's so grounding, one, to be again in the same like little petri dish of my culture and particularities and the beauty of being Kuwaiti that I love so much. You know, I mean, we all love our cultures in a way, even with all their problems. And surreal. And then the same pain again and again of what, like, why do I have to like kind of associate with my culture in a broken way or sort of as a foreigner? Or and I mean, I joke all the time, like someone picked me up and they're like, what is this building? And I was like, I don't know, I'm only a tourist here. And they're like, ah, I'm like, ah, you know, so it's like just laugh it off. I don't know, a country that laughs off all of its problems.
laugh or paint
Yeah.
with your
Yeah.
watercolors.
Yeah.
What else can be done? What reactions are out there? I know that there were some protests in Kuwait last year. I know that people try to express that they disagree with this elements, as you mentioned. Something is wrong. Something is wrong. There is something very wrong out there. What is happening in this field if somebody disagrees?
So there was a protest last year, put on by I think his name is Mohammed Al Barghish, I think, who's in his 50s. Um, um, I think until a few months ago, I heard that two of the protesters were in prison. There were people in the parliament saying that they should be released. I don't know. And then even hearing Earth like speaking on the radio with alongside a protester to say like, yes, I agree that things should be easier. Like no one should have to carry this on them. Or even to see like my 60-year-old cousin be buried stateless, or my aunt's mom who in her 90s is buried stateless. And it's like people older than the country itself are dying stateless. um, it feels like, I mean, hearing that some of them were imprisoned also made me wonder like, am I going to have trouble going back to visit my family, which nobody wants to even lose that, right? Like it's belonging is so limited, or even like the right to keep going home is so limited. I'm not sure if I answered any of your questions. Did I?
You did.
Okay.
The feeling of belonging and not sacrificing this, uh, since you had to
Right.
sacrifice already
Yeah.
so much.
It's like these protesters. I mean, I'm sure. I mean, the argument is why don't they go back to their countries of origin? And it's like, why would anyone continue living under these conditions? Like, why would this be worth lying about? I
Yeah.
don't know.
This funny
Um,
question coming up everywhere in the world. Yes, why they don't go back?
yeah, exactly. Um, and I mean, usually when I land, they move things pretty quickly. On my visa, it always says I'm a student and single. Just every single time, they don't even ask me like quite proper questions. They just let me pass pretty quickly. This time it was a little bit different. When I was trying to enter, and he saw my passport. The question was, what was your nationality before becoming American? And it's like the other American man next to me obviously wasn't getting the same questions, right? Like a tall, normal white man wasn't being asked what his national origin was before becoming American. So I said my mom is Kuwaiti and my dad was stateless, and he said stateless, and and in Arabic implying that he's buried or passed away. Um, and I said yes, and he said, "Did you change your name?" And I said no. And he said, "What was your grandfather's name?" And it's like after 25 hours of travel, I was like, Ali, right? Like trick question. Do you know? So it's very strange to be thinking that I have to explain who my grandpa was to border control to enter. I mean, and I told him my heart is always here, and he wasn't charmed, but glad still to have been let in.
He should have, and the country should be proud of having you uh, painting, uh, winning prize books, and being such a sweet ambassador of the country.
Thanks.
Um,
I mean, to be frank, even there was a woman from the royal family that I wasn't sure if she was even really in the royal family, who came and picked me up, and we went to a very ghetto coffee shop 2 weeks ago. And she said, "I showed your family your work and your book, and we're so proud of you." And I'm like, what does this mean? Like, and she was saying, "I wish I could just hand you citizenship." And it's like, who is making up these rules then? It's like if some border control is confused and someone from the family is saying, "We're proud of you." Like,
hmm.
our parliament is even like protesters shouldn't be. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't. Do you know?
Confusing on every level. What would you do if you would get Kuwaiti citizenship?
I don't know. I don't even know if it's like, I don't know, keep it in my pockets. Thank you. Give my life to England. I don't know. I guess what I care most about is like the few family members I have who are still stateless. It's like I would be so happy. Like I feel like them before me in any way. Like for them to actually finally belong. Yeah. Or why should anyone have to keep living like this?
Yeah, why should anyone keep living like this? I hope that our conversation might bring those reflections to some of the people listening, because this is not the topic that we usually spend our evenings or mornings or afternoons thinking about. There is a lot of stateless people in the world, but if we look around, we probably wouldn't even know. And people who had experience like this in the past, we also wouldn't know. Um, I really admire you for your poetic way of transforming experiences into art. And I'm wondering, who do you have it after? Was it your papa an artist or your mama an artist?
I don't know. I think maybe it's a Kuwaiti spirit in general, the way they talk about things or laugh about things, or I don't know. It's a very small country, right? So people didn't have much to do other than embellish situations.
Modest Zahra. I guess not every Kuwaiti uh, is an artist, and for sure not an artist whose art can get into hearts so much. Mm, you won the competition last year, the art competition for minority artists, and the competition is happening again. We have just announced Minority Rights Group with UN Human Rights Office, with Free Muse. We just announced the next edition of the competition. This year, International Art Contest for Minority Artists is on intersectionality themes, which means in all the different connected, multiplied ways of being discriminated. And well, you will not win this year's competition because you are now the jury member of the competition. I will post another link to the competition very soon. We are waiting for applications from minority artists from all around the world from now on until 15th of May. What do you think? Why minority artists should apply?
Why should they apply?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good question. Do you know? Just keep throwing
Well,
back questions.
I will have an opportunity to meet them. This is why I think they should apply. But what do you know? What do you think?
My work. Yeah, I mean, always through these venues, people become aware. They get to learn about a new person's artwork and what they're thinking and feeling.
Some of the applications we were receiving last year were from so small groups, being in so special situations somewhere in the corner of the world that we might even not know the name of. It was eye-opening for the whole jury, but also for people afterwards watching art pieces. I'm also very happy that thanks to this we could meet. I'm very happy I could see your paintings and that we can do our best to multiply your paintings and your message. I wanted to ask if anybody out there listening to us has any question to Zahra. You will have the last chance to do it very, very soon. And to you, I have still one more question. Why artists should or can do art in the topic that is so close to their heart? Because this is not easy. It's not easy to do it. It's not easy to show it to public, to send it to the competition. How do you think it influenced you, all what you went through into becoming a painter of the New York Times winning book?
That's always the question, right? And it's a question I ask myself a lot. Like, are you making these just to show people, or do you actually feel these things? And I'm reminded again and again that these feelings are sincere first. Yeah.
Of course they are. I see it in every little balloon and butterfly on your drawings. Thank you, Zahra. Thank you so much for spending your morning with us just after coming back from Kuwait, from visiting your mom. Thank you. I wish you good luck on your artistic path and any other path you will have in your life. And I hope to see you again in person one day.
I hope so too. I hope we cross paths.
Thank you.
Thank you.